Welcome to Money Conversations with KJ. KJ is a lifelong entrepreneur who's made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, and found his way back again. If you're looking for a sterile how-to, you're in the wrong place. KJ and his guests will walk you through real-life situations told by the people who live them, and they are as messy as they are inspiring. Each episode will offer lessons learned, advice on how to replicate successes and avoid pitfalls, and a new perspective to power your financial literacy. Far from a one-size-fits-all, this podcast can help you build a roadmap to your personal promised land. Milk and honey for some, whiskey and steak for others, and remind you that you're not alone on this journey.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I'm super excited today to have the guest with me that I have, because it's not often that I get to speak to someone of this young man's age. And I got introduced to him about a week ago. And as I started to talk to him, his story really intrigued me. And I said, hey, you need to come on the podcast. Let's really hear your story. Let the other people hear your story, because I have listeners of all ages. And regardless of your age, I believe that everybody's story can definitely be inspiring. And because to me, you're like a blank slate, like a blank sheet of paper, and now we get to draw. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Versus I've had people in here, again, I've had ages from 17, your age, all the way up to 85. So I've had the whole gamut. And when you're older, you have a story to tell. You've lived, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, and there's definitely a story. But hey, David, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be here.
Great to have you. So just for perspective, David, tell the people your age and where you're at in life right now.
Yeah, so my name is David Oganesyan. I'm 17 years old, just graduated high school, and I've been working for my parents' stone business company for the last 2-3 years. And the way I even met Kevin was originally I had been introduced to real estate development through one of the general contractors that hired me or our company to do their countertops. And it really inspired me because I really saw how these huge companies are building massive plots of land and building these mega mansions and, very luxurious houses.
So we were introduced through a mutual friend, mm-hmm. which is Melvin McBean. And I'm not really sure how Melvin either met you or your dad, but Melvin had asked me, hey, Kev, I've got a young man who wants to talk to you and maybe come and shadow you type of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm in the middle of a flip, and shadowing me is difficult because this game that I play, the real estate investing, I flip homes for a living on top of being a licensed real estate agent. And then my passion is teaching financial literacy, and we'll get into that in a minute. That I did have you come out to my project a week ago at a certain point that I wanted you to, because I knew my drywallers were going to come in, and I wanted to have you look at the house and get perspective, so to speak. Like if you went there today, you wouldn't recognize it. All the drywall's almost 100% complete. They're just finishing. But anyway, so I thought to myself, let's get David on the podcast. Let's see, because you have aspirations of going to school, right? You want to go to school?
Yeah,
to college.
I'm going to UNLV for civil engineering, finance, and real estate in the fall.
Okay, great. Which is you're taking on a big bite, a big chunk. To do all three at the same time.
I am majoring in civil engineering while I'm minoring in the other two. But yeah.
Okay. So you're going to have your hands are going to be full, so to speak.
Yeah.
But when I asked you last week why you wanted to get into those things, and then I know being part of your dad's business has inspired you because you've been out on these job sites mm-hmm. of these, mega mansions.
Yeah.
That could be inspiring for any kid to walk into a property that's going to be $5, $8, $10, $12 million or more.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, I want one of these,
mm-hmm.
in 20 years when I make my money, right? How am I going to do that?
Yeah.
Who is the guy who's building this house? He's a wealthy individual. How did he get here? How did he get to the point to build this home? Mm-hmm. And so you want to go to school to make money. And I was asking you those questions, right?
Yeah.
That, okay, let's say the guy, and I don't know the guy that's building the house that you walked in. Whatever he does, how old is he? How fast did he get there? What did he do to get there? It's like we need to learn how to reverse engineer all the way to step one to what he did. Because for you at 17, this is what you're trying to emulate.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you want to be a civil engineer, right, that which is land, civil engineering land out there, and then ultimately get into land development and get to a point where you can build those types of homes. This is a long career.
Yeah.
But I love that the fact like, hey, this is what I want to do. And at least at this point in time in your life, even though you're just getting started, going to go to school and learn the fundamentals of all of those things, you're going to have what I call a plan, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to wing it, so to speak, because this isn't a field that you wing. We don't wing this. There's a lot to go into it to be able to do what I do and all these other developers do. Talk to me about, because we're on my podcast, Money Conversations with KJ. So we want to talk about the money, right? Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of money to do what you're getting ready to do, to go to school, to try to get 3 degrees. It's going to take a lot of time and self-discipline in order to finish in a timely manner, 4 or 5 years, right? Yeah. So talk to me about, are you paying for college? Is your dad paying for college? Did you apply for student loans? How's this going to happen?
Yeah, so my parents are fortunately going to be covering all my UNLV expenses, and that's also a reason why I decided to stay home. I actually, I got accepted into NYU and University of Miami. However, those tuitions were going to be $100,000 for 4 years each. You know, when you also factor in like the business that we're running, it just doesn't make sense to put funds towards that when I can get the same degree here for $4,000 a semester.
Very smart move. Very smart. A lot of kids today would say, yeah, I got accepted over there. And even if it's a 50%, 75% ride, right? Mm-hmm. And you still have to come up with some, they would go over there because one, and my kids did it. I remember my oldest daughter, who's 42 now, when she was 18, she told me, she says, Dad, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I'm leaving Vegas. I don't want to stay here. I'm out. I go, you want to leave? I go, okay, where do you want to go? And in her case, she wanted to go, she got accepted to a college in Boston. So she went to Boston and she got a 75% scholarship. So I still had to pay for some of her college, right?
Yeah.
Which that was 22 years ago, 23 years ago. I think it was still going to cost me like $7,000 or $8,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
The 25%. And what she really wanted was just to experience life in another city. Mm-hmm. Because I shared with her at the time, you're born and raised in Las Vegas. You're what we call a desert rat, okay? You're acclimated to living here. You're going to go to Boston where it's the opposite of what we are. They are absolutely freezing cold over there.
Yeah.
I mean, the winters there are harsh. They're tough. And she said, no, I can handle it, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, you sure? Yep, I'm okay. And I had a rule in my household. If you want to go to college, great. I will pay for college until you stop. Mm-hmm. The minute you stop, I stop paying. Meaning a lot of kids will go for 1 or 2 years. And they go, hey, I'm going to take a semester break or 1 year off for whatever the reasons are. And there's a lot of reasons. And then they want to go back. And so the rule of my household was, if you stop, I don't pay no more. Mm-hmm. If you go straight through, I'll just keep paying.
Yeah.
So 3 of my kids went 0 for 3. They started and then they stopped. And my oldest daughter ended up finishing later on her own dime, and now she's got student debt, right?
Yeah.
The other 2 went for the year and like, yeah, no, this isn't for me or whatever. And my 4th child said, Dad, I'm not going to make the same mistake. I don't want to do it. I don't want to waste not my time, but and or your money. Mm-hmm. Which, okay. And now she's a different story, and she's actually doing the best of all the kids. But because I taught her how to play the game, how to handle her money, is why she's doing better. Not that she's making a lot more money than the other 3, because she's not, but she's doing better financially because she knows how to handle her money. But anyway, in your case, great. You want to stay here. That tuition is something that's affordable for your parents. And so you won't end up having any education debt.
Yeah.
Which is a
definitely.
major problem in this country. It's the number one debt that's out there that people are strapped with. And it's the only debt that we accumulate as Americans that we cannot get rid of. Bankruptcy won't erase it. Nothing will erase it. They have to pay it back. Now you hear on the news, the last president saying that they're going to pay it off. That was a talk. Didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
Well, one, it's not fair. How would you like it if you worked your butt off, right, for 4 years, worked real hard, paid for college, and finished, to turn around and watch the government pay somebody else's debt off that didn't even finish school?
Definitely. Yeah.
I would be pretty pissed off personally, but that's how that goes. So working with your dad, making some money over there, working for the store. What has your mom or dad taught you about money? You're getting ready to be 18 in a month or so. What did they actually teach you about money, if anything?
Investment wise.
No, just any money lessons at all, not investments, but just did they like? It was known for a long time. You'll become a parent one day. Like, hey, I have to sit down and have that talk about, they call it the birds and the bees, sex, with my typically 12, 13, 14-year-old somewhere. And that's an uncomfortable conversation to have with a 12, 13-year-old, right? But parents need to do that. And my question is, did they ever sit you down and say, hey, money is something that we use to purchase things, to live the lifestyle that we want to live, right? And I want you to understand how money works. Did they ever sit you down and have that type of conversation with you?
I would say no.
No.
So,
and again, you're 17. I would tell you 95% of the people that have been on this podcast and or that I've had conversations with in the last 10 years, when I ask that question, they say, Mom and Dad never did. Like, it didn't happen for me. My parents never sat me down, taught me about money, right? I was just an entrepreneur and I knew I want to make money.
Yeah.
This is the problem. This is why America has what Warren Buffett calls it. It's a financial literacy problem. Why Americans live paycheck to paycheck. It has nothing to do with how much money you make. It's what you do with the money once you make it. And because I call it the game, most people just call it the game of money. When you're not taught the rules of a game, any game that we want to play, how can you win the game? You don't know the rules. When do we win, right?
Yeah.
How do we get there? How do we get from point A to point B? And so, but the fact that your parents haven't sat you down and taught you is not a bad thing. It is what is, because if you went home and told your dad or asked your dad, hey, Dad, I want to learn how to fly a plane. Can you teach me how to fly a plane? And he says, son, I cut stone for a living. I don't know how to fly a plane.
Yeah.
Does that make him a bad parent?
Of course not.
Of course it doesn't. No, he just doesn't know how to fly a plane.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And so therefore, he wouldn't be able to teach you. So now with the same thing with money, you want to learn things about money, but mom and dad aren't proficient with money. They work, they make a living, they provide for you. But even though I've never met or talked to them, if I asked them certain questions about where their future and money is going, they probably would want to learn what I'm trying to teach also. So what I will teach you over time here, I probably for sure want you to share it with your parents, all the lessons that you're going to learn now. Because we talked before the podcast, the value of time, the cost of time, because time is our most valuable asset. You want to get ready to go learn and have a career in basically 3 different fields and work them all together into one business at one point in time, which is great. But to learn those and put them together to run a certain kind of business is going to take time, number 1, money, number 2, knowledge, number 3, right?
Yeah.
So time you're 17. You got your whole life in front of you, right? How you're going to spend it, time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah.
So if they haven't talked to you about money yet, but you met me and you're being inquisitive, which is a real good thing, You don't have a credit. You told me earlier that you don't have a credit card yet.
I do not. Yep.
Okay. Now, you've heard of Dave Ramsey.
I have not.
Oh, Dave Ramsey's probably the most well-known person out there teaching people about money. And his belief is that we should never have a credit card.
Really?
Credit cards are bad. You'll hear people use the phrase, credit cards are bad. You got to be careful. The reality, the way I see it, is credit cards are not bad because it's a piece of plastic. And how can a little piece of plastic be bad, right?
Yeah.
No. It's how you handle the credit card, how you use it. Are you responsible? And the problem is most people are not responsible with their credit cards. And they get into credit card debt. Now they're in debt. And now like, oh crap, I'm 1,000, I'm 3,000, I'm 10,000, I'm 20,000 in debt. And you got to pay that stuff back. So it's the only part that I don't agree with Dave Ramsey is that in today's world, it's very important to have credit. You're going to want to buy a vehicle at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't suggest buying a brand new vehicle by any means until you can either pay for it cash or at least 50% cash, right? If you want to leverage money. A house, no one can pay cash for, so we have to borrow money to pay for a house, right? We get a mortgage.
Yeah.
Sometimes we leverage money in business. I think leveraging money in business is a very powerful thing. If I leverage money in business to make more money, then I get to leverage money and make more money.
Yeah.
Right? Now, there is what's called good debt and bad debt, but good debt is leveraging money. Bad debt is, I call it consumer debt. Anybody wants to get in debt because you want to go to dinner, you want to buy some new shoes, I want to go to this concert, and you charge it on a card because you don't have the money, then you shouldn't do any of those things. Do those things when you do have the money. Mm-hmm. And not only when you have the money, but everything else is paid for. You're young, you're living at home, you're going to go to school. You probably will be at home for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
At minimum, as you should. And during those 5 years, if you're still working for your parents and going to school and making money, 75% of what you make should be put away. And I say 75% because 25%, if you're going to work and go to school, you should reward yourself on some level. So 25% of whatever you make, whatever that dollar amount is, that's what you get to use to go and buy the shoes you want, the clothes you want, the show, the concert that you want to go to, all of those things, all of your wants. Spend that 25%, but put to 75% away. That's what I had my youngest daughter do. She did from 15 till the age 20 because she lived with me until she was 20 years old. She saved 75% of her money.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you had a girlfriend.
I do, yeah.
Which is typical of a 17-year-old, right? And I asked you, I go, what kind of conversations are you having with your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Share with me the types of conversations, life conversations you're having with her. Is she going to school?
She is. She's going to school in California, UC Irvine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, everybody listening here that is over the age of 25 probably is telling you right now in their car, if they're listening, that's not going to be your girlfriend for a very long time. Okay. For a very long time. You're likely to break up because long distance relationships just don't work out. Right.
Okay.
Historically, not that you're a bad person, she's a bad person, but two different states, very difficult. You'll try. And I remember when I graduated high school, half of my friends, they left out of town to go to college or the girlfriend left. And then that relationship fizzled out just because a relationship is about spending time together and not every 2 or 3 weeks, like, hey, I'm coming out this weekend type of thing.
Yeah.
But you'll play that out and that'll be fine. You'll have fun. You'll be fine. Have you, at this point, and again, you're young, have you talked to or had any other mentors in your life for anything? Like, were you in sports?
I was, yeah.
What sports?
I've played basketball since I was 6 years old.
There you go.
Yeah.
So your mentor would have been your coach.
Yeah, I've had many different coaches, but
okay,
overall,
good.
The coach itself, yeah.
So what have you learned? What life because coaches give life lessons. They like your basketball coach don't just typically they don't just teach you how to, the plays of the game and do practice. Typically they're going to give you these little life lessons along the way. Do you remember any of them?
There's three I remember distinctly.
Oh,
everything I do.
Distinctly. I mean, they stuck with you.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and give it to me.
One, the typical pursue greatness, like in anything you do, you shouldn't go for the average. You should always go for, top tier, the S tier.
Okay. Great advice.
Yeah. Another one, is something one of my basketball coaches told me after I made a huge mistake in a game, turned the ball over at the end of the game, and we lost the game.
Okay.
Just be better. He wasn't mad. And he actually got mad at me for apologizing. He said, just be better, It's all there is to it.
Great advice. Because did you really beat yourself up after the game?
I
can't believe I did that. You're mad. Yeah. And that's natural to have that. It would have been unnatural if you weren't upset about that play and the way the game turned out and all of that. It would have been abnormal that, why isn't he mad? Right. Mm-hmm. So that is normal. What's the third one?
Third one, be glad you made mistakes because, everyone's always heard it before, but you only grow in those mistakes. You only grow through failure. And you notice it as well. Whenever you make a mistake, whenever you do fail, you see yourself getting better.
That can't be any closer to the truth than I could share with you, because although when you turned over the ball and you lost the game, and that can be construed as a mistake, right? You learn the lesson. You think back, you reflect. What could I have done? And those are instantaneous decisions when you lost that ball, right? Yeah. I could have dribbled right. I could have dribbled left. I could have held it. I could have whatever, not to turn the ball over. But it just happened so fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same thing does happen in life. Same thing happens in life. Same thing happens with your money, your decisions that you're making with money. Sometimes there are decisions that are made. Some people use the word hastily. I hastily made that decision.
Yeah.
I didn't really think it all the way through. And then XYZ happened that was negative. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because most really successful people will tell you, you're going to be the better person in the future of yourself, the more mistakes that you make. So some people will make a mistake like that, and now they're going to do everything in their power never to make a mistake again, which is the wrong lesson. Don't do that. Don't go through life being very conservative on everything you do so you don't make a mistake. You don't want to do that, right? It's okay to make the mistakes, make the failures, as long, and there's a caveat to it, as long as you learn from it. If you make a mistake or a failure and you didn't learn from it, that's bad.
Yeah.
So you just need to reflect on whatever it is when that does happen to you. And trust me, it will happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
And sooner than later.
Yeah.
Going to school, doing your, trying to get the good grades, learning whatever, Shit, I got a C+ and I wanted to get an A. What happened? I didn't study enough. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make sure the next test I get an A because I'm going to put more time in the study and I got to know my material. Yeah. Right? So those are all great lessons. It's funny because a lot of these questions that I normally have, you're so young, they don't really apply to you. Have you had at this point in life, because you spend money, have you blown money, spent money frivolously that you regretted? I spent money on $X, however much, and I shouldn't have done that. Do you have any of those?
Well, let me just be straightforward and say this. I'm a spender. I like to spend my money. I like to, if I want something, I'm going to go buy it. I'm going to spend my money. And I think the number one thing I regret is shoes, because I could say I probably have 22 pairs of shoes, and these Hoka shoes that I'm wearing right now, I've been wearing these every day for the last 6 months. I haven't even touched my other 20 pairs of shoes.
Right.
So big regret there, and you can kind of apply that to many different things as well. I know that I bought an extra snowboard because when it comes to snowboarding, this is kind of off topic, but
no, it's all topics for sure. Go ahead. There's
different types of snowboards, and mine was kind of a more aggressive. have to use a lot of energy snowboard, and I was just getting tired of it. Like every single snowboard day, I was leaving sweaty, exhausted. So I kind of bought like a more chill, relaxed, just glide down the mountain snowboard. And going back to it, I never had to buy that extra $600 snowboard, but like I said, I'm a spender. I like to spend.
We're going to go back in time now, because through conversations, I know that we develop our money habits between the ages of 5 and 7, which in your case, compared to me, is not that long ago. And the reason we develop them back then is not consciously, but subconsciously. You're telling me you're a spender, then I'm going to guess either your mother or your father is a spender. Which one is it?
That question, I don't think it applies. I don't think it's a fair question because, 10 years, right? 10 years ago, my dad was a cab driver and my mom worked at MGM.
Okay.
So, they didn't have that much money to be a spender. Honestly, we never spent, she would stay home, cooking all day, like making us food. We would never go out.
Right.
My dad, he would just be working all day, so he wouldn't even have time to spend. So I would say that actually changed over time. I wouldn't say I got that from them.
So where do you think you learned that habit of being a spender?
As I got older, and the business opened in 2016, but as the business started doing better, like 2022, 2023, I would say that was around the time that I realized, like, okay, it's okay to spend money on these things. And that's around the time I kind of changed my mindset.
So maybe it was society. Maybe it was maybe it was your peers. There's a term. There's a term that's saying that, and I don't know if you're young, if this term even applies to you, but there's a term that floated around for a long time called keeping up with the Joneses, right?
Yeah.
Which is that guy has XYZ. I want the same thing. I want to keep up, right? And so it's very how you want to satisfy a want.
Yeah.
Versus a need. Now, as you are a self-proclaimed spender, are you at all a self-proclaimed saver? Did you save any money along the way? Or you just knew I made $X and that $X I wanted to go buy X, Y, and Z, and you just spent it?
It's definitely like a 60-40 split, 60 saving, 40 spending, and I actually have it set up like in my bank account where the second I get the check, it instantly goes 60% of it to savings, 40% checkings.
How long? What age did you do that?
16. That's the age you can get a debit card. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a little over a year. And who shared that lesson with you? Who got you to do that?
Actually, it was I'm not sure the role it's called, but like the bank lady that was kind of like conversing with me and opening the debit card account for
opening
me.
your bank account, right? So you opened your first bank account at 16, and you sat there and talked to the bank associate. And did she give you this advice because you asked her, well, what should I do? Or did she just give it to you voluntarily?
No, she gave it voluntarily.
Okay.
It's probably her job, yeah.
Okay. And so rather than walking out of that bank, whatever she said, I don't know, I didn't listen type of thing, or I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to put X percentage into a savings account. So did you actually open 2 bank accounts that day?
Yeah, checkings and savings.
Checking and savings. Okay. That's very far ahead of the game than most people your age, that you started on that path. So that's really, really good that you're doing that. Any other suggestions or that she had for you?
I remember her saying, don't spend too much money in one place. That was something that kind of stuck with me as well.
Don't spend too much money in one place. Okay. Can you remember whether it was a coach or whoever, any other kind of financial advice that you'd been given?
In terms of financial advice, like I haven't gotten much financial advice in my life so far.
Okay.
But
And I say that because I can, in my head, I can hear the listeners that are listening out there who listen to me, and they're screaming right now, right? They're screaming like, tell them to invest, tell them to start this account, tell them to start, right? I can just hear them saying that kind of stuff, right? Which is fine. Look, you're young, you're 17. Mm-hmm. You're going to do a lot of these things and the things that you and I have been talking about, which is great. And keep heed and follow this direction that you've kind of started on already, and you're going to be just fine. If you go home today, tomorrow, and the next week, whenever on the weekend, and it sounds like from your parents' beginnings here, they started at the bottom, working hard jobs to get where they are, which means they understand what it feels like to be broke. Not to be broke, but what it feels like, because there's a feeling in our gut that we get when we're actually broke. Meaning when your dad knew, I don't have the money to pay the rent next month, or I don't have the money to keep the lights on, or I don't have enough money for the food. And there's that feeling in your stomach that just really, it's a knot. It makes you feel, it's not a good feeling. And I remember telling my youngest daughter that I said, I don't ever want you to have or understand that feeling.
Yeah.
She's going to be 27 in 2 weeks. She's never had that feeling. And so I wish that upon everybody your age, to not have that feeling. But the reason that people have that feeling is because no one ever taught them about money. So you don't have that feeling. Do the right things. Know the difference between wants and needs, right? You didn't need that extra skateboard. You don't need 22 pairs of shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whatever other things that you've been spending your money on. Yeah, you need nice clothes. Yeah, you need probably a couple of pairs of nice shoes, right? 22, that's excessive, right? And so that money could have been not just saved, but invested. So the fact that the bank lady told you to save, okay, but that's only like telling you half the recipe to something that you want to cook. Well, what's the other half the recipe? How's this meal going to come out if I only have half the recipe? Well, it's not going to come out. You're gonna make a blob of whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so the other half is investing. And I shared with you that I will definitely talk to you more about investing to get started, and more than anything, to create a habit. Because a habit is what's going to get you. Now, you talked earlier about one of the things the coach told you, which in my mind means work ethic. If you want to be the best that you can be at whatever that you want to do, right? You want to be the civil engineer, be the best civil engineer, right? You want to be a developer, be the best. We all can only achieve those types of things through work ethic.
Yeah.
And I shared with you that we are and will become the 5 people that we hang with. And we talked a little bit more about that before the show here. But just keep that in mind of who you're hanging out with, right? Keep that in mind for watching other people, watching and learning. Invest in yourself as far as your education. You're going to go to college. Take a class or 2 or semester of finance, right? And learn all the fundamentals. But I know, personally, I don't know, at least a handful of doctors, attorneys, accountants, all people that should know about money that they don't know anything about money. I know doctors that know everything about being the doctor that they are. They don't know anything about money. It's misconstrued that you're a doctor, you must make a lot of money. Well, maybe the guy does make a lot of money, but you don't know what's going on behind closed doors, and his finances are in a massive disarray, right? Yeah. Same goes for all these other fields. And the person who understands how to play the game the best will win the game, right? So be careful of who you listen to, what they're teaching you. In investing, there are no guarantees. If anybody ever tells you, hey, invest in XYZ over here, it's going to make a guaranteed return of X. Like the minute somebody even uses the word guarantee, you got to run the other way. You're like, well, you don't know what you're talking about then. Yeah, no, it's guaranteed. I promise. I guarantee it's going to do this. Like, then that's not investing. That's gambling.
Yeah.
We live in Vegas. You want to gamble? Go down to the hotel when you're of age and gamble. If that's what you want to do, fine. Gambling's entertainment. You know, you don't want to do that to make a living. I know that you shared with me in a previous conversation. What does retirement mean to you? Is it something that is on the front burner, the back burner? Are you giving it any thought at all?
More the back burner. You know, one of my most important things for me personally is the lifestyle. Okay. I want to be able to, you know, go to Italy, go to the Maldives, go to New York whenever I want. And I'm a big car guy, so I want to be able to drive that nice car or, you know, the countless nice cars and own them. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely the lifestyle. And when you say age, right? I mean, preferably by 45, but, you know, it's one of those harder things to say because if you're going to end up owning that business, you know, real estate development business, you're likely not going to retire at 45. You're going to keep running it and keep being like involved with it until, you know, you're older.
So one thing that I can suggest to you, which is don't chase retirement. Mm-hmm. Because retirement basically means the end. And if you're going to become the person that you're saying you want to become, you're too hungry for life. You don't want anything to end. You should strive for first financial independence and then financial freedom. When you reach financial freedom, you're going to be able to do the things that you just described. Mm-hmm. Right? It's going to take a lot of self-discipline and hard work to get there by age 45. I shared with you before, you had asked me, is it possible? Can it happen? The answer is 100% it can happen. Couple of things have to happen in order for it to happen, which is one, you could be a genius that I don't even know about, mm-hmm. that you don't even know about, and develop or invent something that will change the world and make you a ridiculous amount of money, right?
Yeah.
You can get there that way. You can get there through just really hard, diligent work. Mm-hmm. Either way, it's going to take hard, diligent work, meaning sacrifice. If you're going to have a really good work ethic, a great work ethic can't come with, I want to have a good time all the time. The two don't go together. Mm-hmm. And any real successful person will tell you that. No, I worked my ass off from 20 years old to 35 years old. And then till I, let's say, made it. Something big happened in their life. You know, I'll take, for example, the last 10 years. People who developed the different apps, AI structures, these kids who learned how to code early. And now coding is obsolete. We don't need to learn how to code anymore. AI does it for us, right? But those kids who did that and started companies and then sold their companies for hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, right? They worked their butts off at a computer, at a desk, in a tiny, probably when they started, in their bedroom at home, right? Yeah. By themselves, and just, I call it grinding, or people call it just grinding away. Mm-hmm. Learning. Just can't learn. Yeah. They're just so hungry for it. Just, I want to know more. If you do that, then 45 is achievable. Mm-hmm. No problem.
Yeah.
But if you're the guy who wants to get off on Friday and go snowboarding every weekend, not going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me personally, the biggest thing that, you know, I want to learn is just the pathway I need to take. And I know there's countless people out there who have done, you know, that pathway to becoming that developer, to becoming the Blue Heron or the Merlin Home Builders,
right,
etc. So, you know, that's one of the biggest things I'm kind of like pursuing and like actively searching up right now, right? You kind of said how it's the grind, right? You know, sitting at the computer. Like, I feel like, you know, I don't want to come off as cocky, but I've actually, you know, kind of done some of the grind. I graduated with a 5.5 GPA, you know.
Sweet.
And, you know, I'm always hungry for that grind. I just need to know how to pursue it.
That's great. That means, yeah, it's a great word. I like using it. You're hungry, right? And when you're as hungry as you are, you want to eat now, right? You want to eat knowledge. How fast can I eat knowledge? The thing that you're going to have to learn is patience, number one, right? It's not going to happen overnight. but you can and will see your little goals add up. So to come up with an actual written plan of what you want to do and know that every time you hit these little, I call them mini milestones that you hit, celebrate them. Celebrate them, whatever it may be, because it'll make you hungry for more. Like, I'll give you an example. If you look behind me, you see what's hanging on the wall right here?
I do indeed.
It's called Debt-Free Champion. And this is what I will be giving out to my students who go through my course, and I teach them how to get out of debt, and they finally get out of debt. Debt is like the biggest anchor to your financial being that you can ever have. And for people who are in debt, whether you've been in debt for 6 months, 6 years, 20 years, doesn't matter the timeline, and it doesn't even matter the amount of debt. Somebody being in debt $1,000 versus somebody being in debt $200,000, if it's the moon away, it just seems unfeasible to pay it off. Like, how do I get there? When you say, and it's to $1,000, somebody be like, I have no way of paying it off. I don't know how to do it. I don't make enough money. How will I get out of this mess? Is the same as somebody who owes $200,000. How am I going to get out of this $200,000 debt? And it's just to me, it's a math equation problem. Let's just figure it out, get on a path and do it. Mm-hmm. But I give these plaques out for the day that you get out of debt, because that's a massive day. That anchor relief off of the people's shoulders who've been carrying debt for over time. Mm-hmm. Again, a year, 20 years, whatever it may be, doesn't matter. Is such a relief. So one thing be careful of as you're going through your journey here of not just consuming knowledge to learn things, but don't let something like debt get hooked on your back. And now that's holding you back from moving forward.
I see.
So that's going to take self-discipline to do that. Again, not 22 pairs of shoes, not the second skateboard. You're a spender, so you're going to have to take the test. Like, you can take my test. We'll be out in a couple of weeks and see what you are, and then how do you stop doing that? Mm-hmm. The basic way that you're going to stop doing that is reminding yourself every time you want to go spend money on another pair of shoes, on another, skateboard, but the other board that you bought, you gotta ask yourself, put that on hold. I want to buy those shoes today. I got the urge. If you put it on hold for 48 hours and then ask yourself that question again, do I still want those? I promise you, 99% of the time you're like, no, that urge is over now. I don't want them anymore. Mm-hmm. And if you can get in that habit, then you will turn from a spender into a saver/investor.
Yeah.
And then when you get to a point where your goal is, hey, I want to invest/save my money I want to get to $5,000. And what's the timeline to get to the $5,000? Did it take you 2 months? Did it take you 2 years? Whatever the timeline is, when you get to that $5,000, you should feel a sense of accomplishment. Mm-hmm. And now the next is, what's my next goal? I want 10,000. I want 20,000. I need 100,000. Whatever that dollar amount is, just baby step your way up there until you get what you wanted. But also know whatever that dollar amount that you set, what it's for. I have a module that teaches about savings, and I always say, save for a purpose. Don't save just to save money. Don't just save because there's a number that's in your bank account that you see it and you don't know what you're going to do with it. Don't do that. You see that number and it's halfway, 70%, whatever the percentage on the way up to the final number that you want, because you want to start your first business. I need $X. You want to do things that you need to do because the need is going to satisfy the want later. They're going to Italy and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Don't spend your money because, man, for 2 years I've been working my butt off. I got $45,000. I'm 25 years old or whatever. I'm going to go to Italy now, right? Mm-hmm. But I haven't taken care of some of these other needs yet.
Yeah.
You have your whole life to do all that stuff with. Now, I will share with you, my daughter, who's going to be 27, she has literally traveled the whole world already. Singapore, Thailand. She's been to London, Paris, Jesus, Mexico. I mean, she's been all over the place. Now, she has done it because there's two ways to travel. You could travel real frugal, or you could travel 5-star, right?
Yeah.
Now, she's done this for over the last 6 years. She's been traveling, and she has a friend of hers that is super frugal. I mean, they find the deals that they've been on these vacations on, where last year they went to Paris and London, 10-day vacation trip that cost each of them about $2,500. That's pretty darn cheap.
That is good, yeah.
To go do that trip. Now, where did they stay? Crappy little hotels. Where'd they eat? Crappy little restaurants. You know, not having 5-star meals or 5-star hotels. You can't do that. You can do that later when you become successful in what, you know, your business ventures that you want to have. Where, hey, I can go spend $20,000 on a vacation and go 5-star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? $20,000, that's affordable. I've done well now for myself. I got millions of dollars, whatever it is. But try not to blow giant chunks of money, because I'm a firm believer in rewarding yourself when you work hard. For sure. Just do it in a frugal means. Don't go all out, you know. Don't buy the best pair of shoes. Don't buy the best car.
Yeah.
Don't buy the nicest sports car. All of that stuff. Don't buy the nicest stuff. If you can't pay for it and it doesn't hurt you financially, don't do it. If it's going to put a ding in your financial plan, what you're going to want to do long term, it's going to set you back. Yeah. And then it's going to take you another year to save that money. And again, the first lesson I'm teaching you is the value of time. Right?
Yeah.
And at 17, you think I have my whole life. I'm 64. I'm here to tell you, it goes by so darn fast.
I've heard that, yeah.
You know, so I want you to enjoy all the finer things in life. But I would say I would put my head down, just grind it out till you're 30 before you really start enjoying yourself. You can have your fun weekends here and there to enjoy life, but don't do anything foolish and spend big money, because that'll hurt you.
Yeah.
What are some of the questions or unknowns that you have in your mind that you want to know?
Okay. When you bought your house, how old were you?
My first house, 35, and I built my first house.
Really?
Yeah, I ran my business for a lot of years and saved up enough money, and then again, hanging out with the 5 people that you want to be around. One of my best friends was a home builder by trade.
Oh, okay.
So he helped me.
Yeah.
I could have went and bought a tract home, whatever. He goes, Kev, there's a piece of land over here. I'm buying 1/2 acre. The one across the street's for sale. These guys there's a good price for the land, blah, blah, blah. I'll help you build your house. No money. Yeah. He gave me his time, framed it out, did everything. I was there every day to help do everything. I think I was 35 years old when I built that house.
Wow. Okay.
I was there almost 20 years, raised my family there. But in retrospect, thinking back, all the money that it cost me being there, I shouldn't have done it.
Is it in Vegas?
Oh, yeah. It's down the street. It's a beautiful home. I remember when him and I finished the homes, we built them simultaneously. And I remember when we finished them, we sat out in the front yard and we had a conversation. We're like, it was the biggest financial decision that I'd ever made at that point. I think I spent almost $400,000 building that house. And I had a big mortgage and he had a big mortgage. And we said to ourselves, what did we just do? What did we get into? How are we going to pay for these houses?
Yeah.
Right. We didn't have money saved. Like, hey, if I get hurt, I can pay for my house for the next 12 months. I didn't have that kind of money. I had to go to work to make sure that I could pay for it. Right.
Yeah.
And these were big mortgages at the time. And we just said to ourselves, wow, what did we get ourselves into? But I lived there almost 20 years. I made it work because I ran my own business for all those years. And I made the money to live it and live the lifestyle that I provided for my kids and my wife. You know, a lot of great memories. I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Yeah.
But knowing what I know today about money, I totally shouldn't have done that. I should have lived a more conservative lifestyle and bought half the price of the home that I spent there. I should have bought a $200,000 home instead of putting up a $400,000 home and invested. I didn't know.
What would you have invested in?
I didn't have anything invested back then. If somebody would have taught me what I'm going to teach you, what I know today, things would be totally different for me today.
Yeah.
Not that I have complaints where I'm at sitting right now, because life is fine. I'm not independently wealthy, but I'm comfortable, right? So, but if knowing now what I knew, knowing back then what I know now, I definitely would have a net worth of around $5 million, which I currently don't. But that's okay. Again, you got to learn from your mistakes. You know, one of my first big developments that I took on was in 2007. All of my friends were building big mansion spec houses. They're called spec houses. You build and you sell, right?
Yeah.
And they go, Kev, you got to get in the game, man. We're all making tons of money building these big spec houses. I built my house. I know how to build a house. I remodeled a lot of houses. I'm like, okay, I got no fear of building a house. Okay, my credit's good. I have some money in the bank. Let's go build one. So I proceeded to buy a piece of land in a nice development and build a 7,500 square foot Tuscan villa mansion.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I finished that house around June of 2008. You were just a kid, but June 2008, this whole country unraveled financially.
Yeah.
Everything just crashed.
Wow.
Now, if the country hadn't crashed and it was cruising along good like it had been the previous 5 years where my buddies were all making their money, if it hadn't done that, the house that I built was worth $3 million. And it cost me $2 million to build it. So I would have made $1 million.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened. 08 happened, the crash happened, and I lost it all, including the cash money that I had in that house, which was a couple $100,000, along with the bank money that they foreclosed on me. So that's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
Right?
What lesson would you say that exactly is?
The lesson was I didn't know real estate as deep as I should have to take on that big a risk. Because looking back now, there were definitely signs that this whole thing is getting ready to unravel. Everybody who was in the know, so to speak, saw that happening about 12 to 18 months prior to it happening. I didn't know how to read the market or understand the market. So I jumped in the market of building that house.
Yeah.
So the lesson learned is do your homework.
Yeah. So let me ask you this now. In terms of speculation, there's always people saying, like, for example, nowadays, there's always people saying, the stock market is about to crash big, like everything's about to crash. I bet it was the same back then. Like, how do you differentiate that speculation? Because people have been saying that the stock market is going to crash ever since COVID happened, and it's only been going up.
Right. Great question. Doing your homework, you're going to listen and follow certain people that are out there educating people on what's going to happen. And you either a guy whose glass is half full or a guy whose glass is half empty. You ever heard that term before?
Explain it.
Half full is your optimist. Half empty is your pessimist. There's always going to be a pessimist. Like, dude, this is going to... I was selling houses in 2016, and I would have my clients say, oh, the market's going to crash. I'm going to wait one more year because I know the market's going to crash and go down. The house is going to be cheaper.
Wait one more year.
Right? Let me wait one more year. And I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, no. I've been listening to this guy, that guy, and that's what's going to happen. I would talk to them 2 years later. You just waited. You wanted to wait a year. It's been 2 years. The house that you wanted to pay $600,000 for is now worth $850,000. Do you still want to wait? No, I'm going to wait one more year. It's for sure going to crash now.
Yeah.
It still hasn't crashed. Since 2016, house has only gone they've doubled since 2016, right? So, or more, depending on where it's sitting. So you got to be careful. So doing your homework on what's going to crash, where's it going to crash? When it says the housing market is going to crash, we live in the United States, 50 states across America. What city are you in? Because one city will do worse than other cities. Now, some people say Vegas is the first city to show the signs that there's a housing, disruption going on. Yes and no. But if there is, you got to follow the market.
Yeah.
What's going on? Who do you want to talk to? A real estate professional who understands the market, who has what I call a pulse on the market. What's going on with sales? What's going on with foreclosures? What's going on with cancellation of contracts? People getting in contract to buy a house and they get spooked and they cancel, right? That's been up for this past year, cancellations. So there's what they call a buyer's market and a seller's market. Which market are we in? Technically, a seller's market is when you have 6 months of inventory or more. A buyer's market is when you have the opposite of that. And right now, we're sitting at about 4.5 or 5 months. So technically, we're not in the buyer's market, although a lot of people are treating it that way, meaning they all want deals. Speculation is what makes our economy go around. And so there is no exact right or wrong answer. It's what you believe due to your homework. And are you the half glass full guy or half empty guy? Right?
Yeah.
So that one, you have to follow your gut, who you're going to listen to, and do your homework and watch trends, what's happening.
I see.
Watching a lot of, and not necessarily these days anyway, not necessarily listening to your local news. Those guys don't get it right very often, actually. You're going to want to dig into deeper. And today, because of YouTube, you can go to YouTube, follow certain people who have a good track record of being correct over the last 5, 10, 20 years. You can follow their lead more. So follow the right people. I mean, I'm constantly on YouTube learning everything I can. Today with AI, you could ask Claude.
Yeah, that's what I do for most of my knowledge.
You could ask Claude.
Yeah.
Right? Because all AI has is all the information that's on the internet, and they compile it and they do it all in about 10 seconds. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's fast. You could ask it, how's the market I live in Las Vegas versus the market in San Antonio versus Miami versus New York versus whatever city you want to pick. Right? So when you hear on the news, the housing market's down, that's such a broad statement.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm hungry. Okay. What are you hungry for? How hungry are you? I don't know. You got to tell me.
Yeah.
Right? So wanting to know those things is come down to homework.
Yeah.
So
when
you
say homework, what does that exactly entail?
Research.
Okay.
You're getting ready to go to college. You're going to have a ton of homework because you're learning. And they're going to tell you, this book, read this chapter. We're going to have a test on this next week. Boom. And you're constantly learning. And so to be an entrepreneur, you're going to be constantly learning. So don't think that you're going to go to school for the 5-6 years, get your degrees, and you're not going to learn anymore. That's literally the beginning of when you really are going to learn, because everything that you're going to learn in the next 5 or 6 years is the fundamentals of the career that you've chosen. You're going to learn the fundamentals. It's like playing basketball.
Yeah.
Coach taught you all the fundamentals. You're the one who had to get out there and actually play. Coach didn't play. You played. You made a bad decision, lost the game. Kobe and Michael.
Yeah.
They practice harder than everybody else. That's why they're better. That's why they're the greats. They just practice more.
Yeah.
So doing your homework, doing your research, always listening, paying attention, what's going on. That will make you a successful person.
I see.
I know very little statistical stats in sports. Then I have some of my friends that know sports stats like the back of their hand. Home runs from guys who played 20 years ago. I mean, they just know these things. And I think to myself, I don't know those things because I was never that interested in it. I enjoy watching every sport, and I'm an avid golfer, but I was never that interested to know the statistics of every sport, every game, as a lot of guys that are out there that knowing that stuff, unless you're going to be a sports announcer and make a living doing that, it's information that doesn't have any value to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only guy that's going to make a lot of money knowing all that crap, being a sports announcer, right? So be careful what you're learning, that you're not wasting time learning something that doesn't bring you value. You may learn some things that bring you joy, but not value. Two different things.
Yeah. I've heard that as well.
Right? So be careful of that. It's easy to fall into those traps that especially with sports. Well, this has been a very interesting conversation. Give me top 3 bullet points, your takeaways from what we've discussed. What do you think the audience wants to know what you learned?
Homework, the grind, invest.
Okay. If you got a 5.5 in graduating, that means you are no stranger to doing homework.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? You know how to learn, right?
Yes.
Because some people don't ever get that part of learning. They don't retain. And so you obviously have built the skill set of learning, which is extremely advantageous in what you're getting ready to do.
Yeah.
Like by far. You will be the top 10% of whatever you do because you have learned.
So, yeah.
Because you have learned how to learn. Right? Some people have never learned. They go through school just going through the motions.
Yeah.
Taking a test, getting a 70%, being happy. What's next, right? And for you to get that 5.5 means that you pretty much got A's your whole high school career. And you learned a lot of stuff that you can fall back on, different things that you've learned in school. So keep with that discipline of learning and the things that you're getting ready to learn. It seems to me because of that, things that you learn stick, right? You'll remember those things as you're going through your career. First your schooling and then your career, they'll stick. The things that I like to teach in financial literacy is the same as the fundamentals the coach is going to teach you when you're 6 years old. Dribbling, passing, the basics of the court, right? Where to shoot free throws, all the fundamentals of basketball, right? As an example, right? Because people who don't learn the basics of basketball, the fundamentals, and coach will tell you, you got to get the fundamentals down right. If you don't get the fundamentals, I can't teach you the next step. You've got to learn these fundamentals first.
Of course.
And the same goes with money. If you don't learn the fundamentals of money, how will you ever grow it? Because you don't understand it.
Yeah.
You know? And so when we relaunch, Money Mastery Institute will relaunch here in about 2 to 2.5 weeks. I'll invite you. I'll put you on my email list that will get you the invite to come to the webinar to see what it's all about.
Cool.
Right? And for all you guys that are listening out there, this is actually the first time that I'm letting people know that Money Mastery Institute has redeveloped everything, and I'm relaunching the whole website and the products that I have to offer. And not a lot of it, almost all of it is due to AI. Right? I've leveraged AI in a manner that's going to help you guys, and I'm able to put it out there at a very affordable price so you guys can engage and stop living paycheck to paycheck, start saving for the things that you want in your life, and enjoying life. Because people who live paycheck to paycheck have anxiety and stress about money, paying whatever it is that they need to pay for. And so that's the problem I'm trying to solve, right? As you go through school and finish in 5 or 6 years, you want to become what you want to become. You're basically solving problems, right? You want to become a developer. You're solving a problem. Somebody wants to buy something from you.
Yeah.
Right? That's just a problem that somebody wants. They have a need, a very expensive need, that you could fulfill. Right? Along the way, you're solving all these little tiny problems. So financial literacy is a major problem in this country. I'm just trying to put my little dent in it with having the podcast here, Money Conversations. There's plenty of episodes for people to listen to, because we know through studies that we learn more through other people than we do a book.
Mm-hmm.
If you knew what I just explained part of my story to you, you're like, man, I don't want to make that mistake.
Yeah.
I don't want to go lose hundreds of thousands and then millions of dollars, right? So if that sticks and resonates with you, that could help form a decision in the future that you're like, I already know what's going to happen. I'm not going that way. I'm not going right. I'm going left.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's what this podcast is about. And you're such a young person with a blank slate, why I was excited to have you on here. And I talked with you last week about, we're going to sit down and have this same conversation in a year.
Yeah.
After you have a year of schooling under your belt,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see where you are then and what your goals are and realistically where you think you're going to be.
Yeah.
And that'll be an interesting conversation. And what you've done with money from now to then, people know you have purchased 22 pairs of shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting how you actually handle your money just in this first year.
Yeah.
Because people develop habits that unfortunately, and sometimes fortunately, will dictate the outcome of their future. Whether it's the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10, 20, 50 years, right? We all will develop certain kinds of habits. So that will definitely be fun. So while this has all been a great conversation and you had a good takeaway from it, I will probably be posting this in just a few days. I'll let you know. You can listen to it. And more importantly, your parents should listen to it. They may not know where your head is.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's in a bad place,
Yeah.
but they'll say, David, I didn't know that's what you were thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I didn't know that's what your aspirations were.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have different types of conversations with them. Money conversations. And that's what I want people to have, is money conversations. Having a money conversation doesn't mean I need to know how much money you have or how much money you spent. How did you become wealthy? Tell me. I want to be wealthy.
Yeah.
That's what a money conversation is. So for all you guys out there, listen, do me a favor. You know the drill. Hit the like button, subscribe button if you like what you hear. Leave me a comment if you like. That would be awesome. We like to always hear from everybody. But the subscribe button helps the channel grow. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you for listening.